Israel, beautiful country. I want to go back as soon as things go back to normal. I only got to see half of what I wanted to see. So I love your country. I loved my visit there. My whole family did. My children just thought it was one of the most beautiful trips that we ever did in our whole life. And we've done a lot of things. So the Israel trip was definitely a highlight in my life. So my heart feels full that I can at least be here for you all to answer your questions. And for those of you that haven't heard me, or maybe you are newer to the Juice Plus community, welcome. And I hope to make you feel really good about the new formulations and answer your questions. I have heard some questions about the difference between the new label and the old label, as well as, you know, meal replacement versus it's not a meal replacement anymore. And the reality is that with the Juice Plus products, just philosophically speaking, there's a challenge always in every country, including here in the United States, between what, you know, medicine, what science research is. There's always a lag time. There's the science and the research, our understanding changes. Then maybe sometimes 10, 20 years later, medicine changes, maybe a little bit faster in today's world. For instance, the blood pressure cuff to measure blood pressure was invented 60 years before it was actually ever used in medicine. So, and then, so first science, then medicine, and then governments and government regulations and requirements for labels. So when you have an innovative new kind of a product and you're thinking to help people best now, today, and you put a label on and you want to please the government and the institutions that make those rules, sometimes there's a big gap, right? So you have to find a compromise. So this is basically the challenge with meal replacement, I would say. I want to tell you that in the United States, we never had a meal replacement. Well, maybe in the beginning, but even that became a problem for us in the United States very, very early on, maybe in the 1990s. And so we just decided to just call it a shake. And we sell lots of it and people use it as a meal replacement, a snack. They can use it however they want to. Honestly, we have more freedom now that it's not a meal replacement, because we can call it a pre-workout drink, a post-workout drink, a snack, or if you don't want to eat a heavy meal at night, it can serve as a low-calorie meal replacement drink and still have you satisfied so you can sleep without too much of a heavy meal that keeps you awake because your body tries to digest it. So this is really good when you understand the broader usages you can have when it's not a meal replacement. And the reason it's not a meal replacement in Israel, I don't know the reason. It almost doesn't matter what the reason is, because it's the government telling you what the reason is, and they don't know health. Do you understand? Like, who cares what the government thinks is a meal and not a meal? That's not what's important. What's important is that we know it's good for us. And what I like about your new formulation is that it has more fiber. And that's a beautiful thing, that it has more fiber, because fiber is what feeds the good bacteria in your gut, in your small intestine and your large intestine, that keeps you healthy. And fiber is what's really missing in our diet today. Most people don't understand the importance of eating more plants, more fruits, more vegetables, more wholesome, like legumes and beans and things like that. So they're not getting enough of the healthy fibers in their diet. And with our shakes, you're getting enough fiber. Now, fiber does many things. One of the things it does, I know some people are concerned about the sugar. So the sugar is not the problem, whether it's cane sugar. I grew up eating cane sugar, chewing on cane sticks in India. Cane sugar is a beautiful sugar. It has also what are called oligosaccharides. So oligosaccharides are, so a saccharide is a scientific word for sugar. So you have monosaccharide, meaning one 6-carbon sugar molecule. So a sugar molecule has like a 6-carbon ring. And forgive me, I don't know all the different education levels, so I'll just try to be as simple as I can and still try to give you details. So you have 1 carbon ring, that's a monosaccharide. That would be like glucose and fructose are monosaccharides. Then you have disaccharides like sucrose, which is table sugar. So this is glucose and galactose attached together. So it's 2 sugar molecules, is a disaccharide. A polysaccharide has many, many sugars attached together. All of these sugars, at the end of the day, every cell wants glucose to burn energy. But if you just take glucose, your sugar level will go up too high. If you take sucrose, which is table sugar, it's only one chemical reaction to break the glucose and galactose, and then you have too much sugar. So again, the sugar will rise too high, okay? But a polysaccharide is many, many, many sugar molecules together, and an oligosaccharide is sugar complexes, you know, not quite a fiber yet. Fiber is more intricate, long fibers made of, literally fibers made of sugar molecules, okay? So we have monosaccharides and disaccharides. We never want to eat monosaccharides and disaccharides because they elevate our blood sugar too high and create instability in the blood. And then later, like if you put a lot of sugar in your coffee or your tea or your drinks, then your sugar will go up. Or if you have processed foods with a lot of sugar in them, your sugar level will go up. And then 2 hours later, it'll come crashing down. It'll just dive down. And this high rise and low level of sugar, this makes your brain crazy, and it messes up insulin regulation in the body and eventually makes you a diabetic, okay? Or even in the moment, it makes your body act like you're diabetic. So, but when you eat plants have a lot, they have fructose, but they have other sugars, but they also have these oligosaccharides, like in cane sugar. Because there's so many complexes, it takes a long time to break those down. So the sugar doesn't rise so quickly. And those oligosaccharides also feed good bacteria in the gut. In fact, breast milk has human oligosaccharides, which help feed the good bacteria in a baby's gut to establish good microbiota in the baby's gut. Okay, because babies, you know, are technically sterile until they come through the birth canal and they pick up the mother's bacteria, and then they need the breast milk to feed the bacteria and establish a good microbiota. After you wean off breast milk, you need to give children a lot of fruit, which has higher level sugar. They burn a lot more sugar a lot faster, but the fruit has fiber, and the sugar is a lot of oligosaccharides and polysaccharides that are more complex. And it gives them fast burning sugar for their brain and their cells to grow, but you know, they don't need fiber, as much fiber as vegetables have, but fruits also have fiber. If you look at the formulation of Complete, the fiber to sugar ratio is a lot more like a vegetable, like broccoli. So broccoli will also have sugar. It may not taste sweet, but the label would look similar as far as, you know, how much sugar and how much fiber there is. And you will not raise blood sugar by eating broccoli. Having said that, insulin levels are a little more, you could have an insulin spike just by walking into a kitchen and smelling the food. So insulin spike is not always a great measure in my mind for, is this a problem or not? You know, you could have an insulin spike from honey, which has no sugar. And I love the honey in Israel. I love all the comb honey you can get everywhere. But honey is beautiful. But honey will give you an insulin response. So insulin response is not all that matters. You want to understand that you have to have the fiber to feed the good bacteria. And fiber makes you feel full for much longer. And then also the nutrition that is in this product is coming from, it's not just about the vitamin C, and it's got a nice, B complex there, which is good for your brain, but it's also got all, some of these other plants that are giving us some nice, kind of like juice plus powders, like the pomegranate fruit powder, the pumpkin fruit powder. This plus the calcium, the vitamin B3, the B3s, the B vitamins will become more absorbed through the fiber matrix, if you understand, and the other plant powders that are there, making everything more bioavailable. Okay, so it's not like just an isolated vitamin supplement. It has the protein and the plants, and it's mostly the fiber that's very, very important. Now, it also has a nice blend of protein, the chickpea powder, the soy fiber, those are, and the soy, the rice, and the pea protein gives you a nice plant-based source of protein as well. And I want to give you an example of how much bacteria helps us. So bacteria make in our gut, serotonin is a happy, everybody knows serotonin is the neurotransmitter that makes us happy. Well, I'm going to give you a quiz. How much serotonin is made in your brain? Of all the serotonin in the body, how much is made in your brain? Anybody guess? 5%? Eilert says yes. 80%, Roy says. Eilert says 5%. So we have two ends of the spectrum. Well, Eilert is right. About 90 to 95% of the serotonin is made in your gut. And it's made by plant-eating bacteria. So bacteria that is eating fiber. So a lot of people say eat a lot of tryptophan, because tryptophan helps to make, turns into serotonin through some biochemical reactions. Okay. So the bacteria help you make that serotonin. Which bacteria? The ones that are eating the fiber. Okay. And you'll get tryptophan from the soy, because the vanilla has something we call PDSAS. So it says basically the quality of the protein. I'll type that in here. PDCASS. You can look that up. And it's basically a protein digestibility assessment of how quickly the protein is available to the body. And soy has a perfect score of 1. So that means it's a beautiful source of tryptophan. Now, if you eat, people say eat animal sources of tryptophan, like, I don't know, chicken or milk or something like this, but that doesn't have fiber. So it's not feeding the good bacteria that will help convert that tryptophan into serotonin. When you eat animal sources of tryptophan, you're not getting the fiber, and that tryptophan, because you don't have the right gut bacteria, will turn into a different amino acid that is toxic for your brain and causes Alzheimer's over time. Okay, so tryptophan can make tryptophan. So you have to make serotonin to also make melatonin. So serotonin, how you know you're making serotonin in your gut is if you have good motility, the ability to go to the bathroom, basically. Okay, that you're moving food through the intestines, that is regulated by serotonin. And serotonin also turns into melatonin, which helps you sleep and regulates your sleep cycle. Okay, so the complete I love because it's absolute beautiful gut food for your good bacteria that helps you regulate your brain and your circadian rhythm cycle, your ability to sleep and wake. How many of you notice when you have this complete, I don't know if it's available already on the market, that you go to the bathroom and you become regular, right? That's a sign you're making serotonin and that your bacteria are getting healthier. And that's one of the things I love. People can, unfortunately, people are thinking, okay, a workout drink, it has to have a lot of protein. Well, it does have a lot of protein. You don't want much more protein than that, okay? You don't want more protein than what our shakes have. Otherwise, you get too much protein and turn on cancer in the body, okay? So you don't want too much protein. You want a nice blend of fiber and, yes, even sugar for your brain, because your sugar is a brain is a sugar hog. It burns a lot of sugar for calories. So this complete will make people feel full. They'll feel satiated. It will increase their mobility. And good gut health is the beginning of good, beautiful brain health, heart health, immune system health. Most of your immune system is busy dealing with the food that you're eating. 60 to sometimes 80, 90% of your immune activity is in the gut-associated lymphatic tissue. This is the immune system that is managing the food that you're eating. And if you have good bacteria, those good bacteria also become part of your immune system. They inform your immune system. And they also, so when you eat more plants, like with this COVID, for instance, you have bacteria in your gut and in your lungs. And if they're the right microbiota, if they're the right bacteria, then they're going to inform your immune system. They are part of your immune system because you are only 10% human cells. So when we have pathogens that enter our body, and every time we breathe and eat, we're introducing pathogens into our airways and into our digestive tract. And so we have to understand part of our immune system is also the bacteria, because they're also involved in making sure these pathogens don't take over. They want to be, in you, like you're a super host for a lot of good bacteria. And so they are also part of all the biochemistry that's going on. So it's not as simple as a protein, protein, sugar, and fat. You need to make the bacteria happy. And what makes bacteria happy is fiber and oligosaccharides. So this is cane sugar. Cane sugar, my friends, is much more beautiful than table sugar, okay? Just like agave syrup and maple syrup. Not that you should have too much of any of this, but a little bit goes a long way to make your bacteria very happy. So I'm hoping to give you a more holistic picture of what's happening, okay? Then the other question they said that some of you had is that some of the components people thought were acidic. And I want to tell you that plants are never acidic. Like some people think like lemons or citrus foods are acidic. What you put in your mouth doesn't determine whether it's acidic. Like vitamin C is an acid, okay? But it's okay for your body, obviously. What determines if a food is acidic or not is something called the renal acid load after you digest that food. So the renal acid load, I'll type it in, oops. So the renal acid load refers to how much acidity your kidneys had to deal with from the food you ate. And you can measure renal acid load to see if the food you ate made your body acidic or alkaline. And so here's a rule. All plants are alkaline to your body. All plants are alkaline to your body, including citrus fruits, because it's not what goes in your mouth, it's what happens after it's processed. And there's too much biochemistry for me to explain, but basically what's happening is that this is a plant-based product. It is impossible for it to make your body acidic. So it's not the individual components you want to look at. What you want to see is that this is all plant-based. These are all plant nutrients, plant components. And because you have so much fiber and all these plant proteins, I mean, you know, if you think about proteins are made up of amino acids, well, everything, that means proteins are acidic, but that's not, you can't think this way. So you can't think because something is an acid, it's acidic to the body. It's basically, you have to measure the renal acid load. So what is acidic in our diet today is all animal-based products: chicken, meat, fish, poultry, dairy. All of these things are acidic to the body. And processed foods are acidic to the body. Okay, so processed foods and animal products bring your renal acid load up. So if you want to be alkaline, you just want to eat more plants. Plants neutralize the acidity. And so the Juice Plus Complete is something that's going to make your body alkaline. Okay, so about sharing Juice Plus Complete, and tell them, you know, if you want to use it as a meal replacement, when you're talking to people, they can use it as a meal replacement if they're trying to reduce their caloric intake and lose weight and whatnot, especially late night. You don't want to eat late night meals, but it's a beautiful thing to do before you work out, before you go exercise, after you exercise. It's a beautiful recovery drink. It's a great snack. If you're hungry on the road, I always travel with it. It's nice to have those, you know, something like this handy to travel with. Like yesterday, I went to a hotel, and with COVID, there were no restaurants and I had to go to a meeting. So I just made a complete shake and I was satisfied. So it's nice to have this as a travel. I drink shakes all the time. I love the complete. I've used it for many, many years, and it's so good for pregnant women. I will tell you, in my last trimester, I had no room for eating food. I just had the complete shake. So this is a very good formulation. I like it very much. I might even like it more than our formulation in the United States. So
when I asked about acidity, I didn't mean the veg and the fruit. I meant the unorganic salts that they add to prevent clusters and some.
Oh, this is less than 0.01%. This is just
but there is 4 of them, and all of them are in a solution, making the solution acidity. So maybe it's a small quantity, no?
Yeah, it's too small to make a difference. It's just,
there are 4 types of them.
It doesn't matter. It's such a small amount. It's negligible. It's like, it's nothing. It's absolutely of no consequence to the body. It's such a small, teeny amount. You eat more salt, you know, in your food normally, like 100 times more salt in any food that you're eating. These are very, very microscopic amounts, just to kind of make it a powder and make all the, like, keep the, it's an anti-caking agent, you know, it kind of keeps the texture nice. but it's too small to make a difference.
But before they used the silica oxide as a...
Yeah, well, I prefer calcium carbonate.
Really?
Because calcium carbonate is not acidic, by the way, carbonate, right? So it helps you alkalinate your body because it's a carbonate. Sea salt is wonderful. Sea salt gives you trace minerals. So, you know, these two are fine with me. So, and I'm not worried about, you know, the small amounts that they use. You know, sea salt is also a nice flavoring agent. So these are not things that have really any effect on our human health. They're in too small of a quantity.
Okay.
And they're not bad. They're not horrible things either. Anyway. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, all the best to you, and hopefully I will see you in person someday soon. I really look forward to going back to Israel. You have a beautiful country, beautiful people, and thank you. I'm so glad I made it onto this call given what's been happening in my life for the last 2 days, but hope to see you all